Mm.
You don't care. And I know you don't care. You shouldn't care. And yet, even with that knowledge, I can't help but yap about this piece of garbage that I just watched. Passenger. So, this was a horror movie that when the trailer dropped, people were glazing. I remember in streams, people were saying, like, oh, you need to check out the Passenger trailer. It looks like a really unique, fun horror movie. And I watched it and I was like, it looks pretty generic, but alright. I watch basically every new movie that comes out, so I was going to see it no matter what. And now I have and can confirm that it blew colossal ass. It was big booty. And I'm not surprised by it, but I feel insulted because last week I saw Obsession, which is my favorite movie of the year so far, and in general, just one of my favorite horror movies now. And then I go into Passenger, which I would argue might have had more hype around it than Obsession did, and I'm served this stale load of barnacles. And nobody cares about Passenger now, because Obsession came out and the word of mouth is so strong that it's tracking to do an even stronger second weekend than its opening weekend. So now, nobody even wants to engage with Passenger, and they shouldn't. And yet, I couldn't help myself. I marched in there with my fucking Ebenezer Scrooge wrinkly looking sack, buy a ticket to a fucking Passenger, and now I feel compelled to review it even though nobody cares. Oh well though, we're gonna ball anyway. Big whoop. You wanna fight about it? Let's get into the spaghetti and meatballs. Spoiler warning. I know you don't care about spoilers. That's just for the one psychopath out there that actually does care. Plug their ears right now. 1000% this is a film you have seen before. Everything that happens in this film is just the standard cliche horror movie checklist, and it is unapologetic about that. It doesn't do anything well, nor does it try to do anything well. It tries to walk the same path countless other horror films have walked, doing every single trope in the book. So, the film follows two characters, a man and a woman who are now getting engaged. Yeehaw, congratulations, it's awesome. And they are now living the van life. So they're traveling around in their van. And one night on the road, they encounter some loose cannon, some unhinged guy who's, zooming around and honking and hollering. And he's a real wacko. And it turns out that guy is from the opening sequence, which the opening sequence is what the trailer really sat on.
Relatively cheap $499, which the company says is promotional pricing.
Truth Social. Pre-installed on the phone.
Like any other phone, it can make calls, send texts, do
No
some wide
fucking
angle,
way they actually shipped out the truck phones.
and takes pretty good photos too. The phone looks different from how it was originally advertised. The original language on the website said the phone would be made in the USA, language that has
Made in
since been
China
scrubbed
still.
from the website, now saying American Proud Design, with an American flag that
Oh my god.
And hooked a lot of people with, which is two dudes in one car, not reminiscent of Two Girls, One Cup, a lot less poop, but much more cringe here in this movie. And they basically encounter some creepy, scary guy in the woods who kills them. And the scene is, that opening sequence is actually probably the strongest part of the film. Like, it's really not bad. So I see why people really bought into it as a concept and thinking that it could be good, but the movie is not. That is just its best scene. So anyway, the main couple, they're driving in their van through this area, and the dude from the opening sequence is still like trying to escape as he's being hunted by the Passenger. It's a demonic entity that's been around since the beginning of time, a demonic highwayman that kills and torments his victims. He has them seeing things that aren't real. He can fling them around with his telekinesis like he's fucking Jean Grey. Everything you have ever seen in every horror movie ever is what you experience here. They pull over to help that man, and in doing so, they get marked by the passenger. So then the passenger is
Fuck is this
basically
movie,
hitchhiking a ride in their van as they
shittier budget?
go about their life traveling around, and he scares the woman a lot. Like he even comes up behind her and like starts choking her, but then she hits him with Saint Christopher necklace that her fiance had put there to protect them on their travels. And he's like, ow, burn, ow, burn. And he leaves, and then there's more jump scares. There's tons and tons of jump scares. All of them are so lazy and half-assed. It is just yawn. It is eye-rolling. They solely rely on jump scares, and yet they are terrible at executing them. I don't even know like where to even go with this review, because there's so little to actually talk about it. So she realized things are cattywampus, probably because she's been attacked by some fucking demonic entity who looks just like a, I don't know, crackhead. It's a really stupid design for the guy. He doesn't look scary. He just looks silly. And he's not intimidating or anything. He's just silly. And he does every dumb horror villain thing where he like toys with them. So like, for example, they're watching a movie in the woods, and then he interrupts their film by like putting his head into the projector screen, and then he disappears when he pulls the thing down, and then he starts like banging on their van, and it turns out the guy left the keys outside, which means you would think that the passenger would just kill him there, but he doesn't. Instead, he starts jingling the keys and then puts the keys on a tree and lets them get it so they can get away. He's really enjoying it. And it also does the standard horror cliche of they're able to research everything that they're experiencing on the internet and get all of the lore so they know exactly what this is. And it turns out they need to learn the hobo code in order to survive. Because you see, when they pulled over, there were 3 scratches on the vehicle from the previous victims of the passenger. And now they've made a big point about the 3 scratches on their van, but they didn't know what it meant until at like a fucking rest stop as the fiance's carrying around a huge spoon and showing a license plate that has her name on it. Her name's Maddie. It's like, look at this, it's your name. We gotta get this, put it in the bag. That kind of stuff. She happens to find this book that has the hobo code, and she sees the 3 scratches, and it means not safe. Not safe person when it's 3 scratches through a stick figure. I mean, I feel like you don't even need to be experienced in the hobo code. That's pretty on the nose. You could probably sniff that much out for yourself just using basic reasoning. But anyway, they start to dabble in the ways of the hobo code. And they also have the cliche of the wise old woman who also knows everything going on. So they give you both. They give you the internet solving everything for them and the old woman also solving everything for them too. It is so cliche, it's painful. It is so formulaic, so generic. I just don't even see the point in making a movie like this anymore. I really don't get it. I don't know who goes into a horror film like this and is finding anything to be entertained by with the loud noise jump scares that don't even really work well as jump scares. Like somehow the loud noises aren't even startling because they set it up the same way every other movie ever has. So there's just nothing to even catch you off guard with the loud boom noise there. I don't know.
What are
it all just sucks major ass. But anyway, at a van meetup is where they meet the old woman, and she's like, "Whatever you do, don't stop and don't drive at night on the quiet roads. Just keep driving, and you won't have any problems." But then, of course, they had already stopped, and they had the passenger with them. So then they track her down to another van meetup where it's just a community of people who travel around in RVs and vans, and they're not very receptive to the outsiders that have just joined, and they're asking about Diana, I forgot what her name was. Like, we don't know who that is, and then she pops out, like, what do you want? And then they start talking about the passengers. She's like, everyone go hide! They brought the fucking boogeyman! Hide, run, hide! Blowing a whistle and shit. The exact same scene you've seen out of 1,000 other horror films. And then she starts to tell them exactly what the passenger is and tells them how to beat the passenger. Like, oh, long time ago I heard a story about a trucker who went to St. Christopher's Church. But it's in the middle of nowhere. You'll never find it. It's not on any maps you'd have access to. But don't worry, I'm going to give you all the clues that you need. And in fact, follow me, I'll drive you there. Which is very nice of her, because she was just saying to get the fuck out, basically, like, go kick dirt. And then she's like, oh, you know what? Actually, I'll take you there. I know exactly where it is. So then they get ready to go, and then the passenger comes and rips her head off. Literally rips her head off. And they're like, no! And then they just drive. And then, of course, along the journey, the main characters here, this couple, makes so many stupid fucking choices because they have to. It's the only way the plot can progress. And the final showdown with the passenger just is terrible. It ends with her basically ramming him into a statue of Saint Christopher and impaling him on the spear, which then blows up the church. And then the police show up in the middle of nowhere because the guy had hit an SOS button on like a little doodad that she had brought in the very beginning of the movie. Police had a really quick response time, by the way. That was very impressive. In the actual middle of fucking nowhere, they swoop in. Because every horror movie like this ends the same way, where they defeat the evil or they somewhat triumph over the evil, and then the police arrive seconds later, that kind of thing. It happens like that, bar for bar. This whole film is so painfully formulaic, I actually was upset sitting there. And I was doing this a lot. I kept doing these. Every single time they're making a bad decision, I was doing this. Every jump scare, I sat like this, just stone-faced. It was just a waste of time and money. And none of you probably had any plans of seeing it in the first place. And yet here I am, still yapping about it, still reviewing it because I couldn't help myself. I saw it, I didn't like it, and I wanted to talk about it. But did I have fun watching it? Kinda. I mean, I kinda did. I don't know, there's some kind of certain charm to seeing movies that are this not special and not good. I always like a good fun bad film, and I do think there were moments that were actually fun bad. I think maybe if you saw this with company, like as just a self-aware kind of thing, like guys, we're just gonna, you know, maybe drink some brewskis and laugh at this, like I could definitely see that being a good time. This would be a decent one to put on for that, because I do think it has its moments of being just super fun bad. But overall, if it's something that you want to see like with quality, I would never recommend this film. So yeah, not very good. That's it. So yep. Boom noise there. I don't know. It all just sucks major ass. But anyway, at a van meetup is where they meet the old woman, and she's like, whatever you do, don't stop and don't drive at night on the quiet roads. Just keep driving and you won't have any problems. But then of course they had already stopped and they had the passenger with them. So then they track her down to another van meetup where it's just a community of people who travel around in RVs and vans, and they're not very receptive to the outsiders that have just...
Okay.